Kala Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Brakatao Brakatao Shai Brakatao Brakatao Shai Brakatao Brakatao Shai the water and Bakapa Kalkadas. I'd like to give the honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that teaches truth, 100% truth. Do a lesson that's going to be based around Esau Edom. And Esau Edom right now, he's at the end of his rulership. He's at the end of his kingdom, being in rulership over the world, over the nations. And I look at it as like somebody having terminal cancer. You know, they go in there to the doctor and the doctor give them their diagnosis and say, well, you only got like 6 months to live. And, you know, most carnally minded people, which we know Esau is very carnal minded because of how he gave up his birthright, that a carnal minded person is going to go all out. You know, they're going to go what they say YOLO, they're going to live their best life. And that's what he's doing right now. He's going all out. You know, he's running up the tab, especially in Babylon the Great. They don't care nothing about a deficit because it's way up in the trillions, you know. You know, and plus, you know, no such thing as what they do with monopoly money. It's like fiat currency. They just print what they want. So there's no, you know, they make no excuses about them running up the tab, and they don't care. And if the nations eventually going to call them, you know, on that money, you know, because it's not being backed by gold. And you look at what's going on now, it's like they purposely, you know, trying to crash the economy, you know, so they could bring in a new system, man, the new NWO. Now, with his diagnosis, he feels that he can upset his diagnosis, man, that he can overcome it by challenging the Lord, man, and by taking out the Lord's people. So he has a few things up his sleeve that he's going to try to trick his way into staying in rulership. So right now he's desperate, and when you put a person in a desperate situation, they do desperate things. And how do we know that? You look at with this war that came about over there in the so-called Middle East, which is Eastern Asia, that you know, with the e-files that are being out there, you know, the public outcry about it, you know, people want answers. People want to see people get locked up, and nothing's really happened. And that being over the over the president's head, you know, they're going to do things like that. They're going to do things that's going to try to supplant that in the headlines, so that you know, to take people's eyes, you know, to divert their attention. And one of the things that kind of I feel through the spirit, a lot of people do feel that way. They use that as a diversionary tactic by going in there to attack the Iranian people. And now we see the outcome of it. It's like a trap. So like the Lord has set a trap for Esau Edom to go in there, and now we see what the outcome is going to be. And really, it's to their BS because they want chaos, they want confusion, they want a collapsed economy, so they can bring in their completely bring in their draconian laws, man. So they can go in and initiate, you know, their MOTV, which that's what we look forward to in this truth, man. Once they bring in MOTV, we know that the Lord is going to move us to the next stage. So Job chapter 14, verse 5, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee, thou hast appointed his hands that he cannot pass. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. Slakia. So the Lord has set a set and determined time that this man has in rulership. And we know that most kingdoms usually last no longer than 250 years. That's usually about the average lifespan of a kingdom that's in rulership. And but actually, you know, by no coincidence, I think this is the year of 250 years of being in existence, of them being in rulership, Shalaki, for them being in rulership. So we know we're at that time, man. Everything is lining up perfectly according to the Bible. The book of Psalms, chapter 104, verse 9. Thou hast set a bound that they may not pass over, that they turn not again to cover the earth. That's Psalm 104, verse 9. So the Lord has set a boundary for them. And he has set that time and that date. And nothing that they're going to do is going to be able to divert that, man. They're trying to edit the book, and the book is not, you know, not to be edited, man. Once the Lord has wrote this down in stone, man, it's going to be nothing that this devil's going to be able to that's going to alternate that. It's not going to change that. They had this thing with CERN. They think that they can go back in time. They got this thing now with AI, and so they're looking at any possible way that they can divert the end of the end of their kingdom. Job chapter 9 verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth up the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? And we know that the wicked is ruling during this time. So it's not the Ishmael, it's not Moab, it's the Edomites. And the Edomites are going to be the last rulers over the earth, man, before we come back into power, man. Before the Lord put Jacob back into the power seat, man, ruling the earth, and it's going to be a perpetual rulership. And we're not going to taste of death anymore. We're going to be sinless. These laws, statutes, commandments, that's going to be implanted in us, so that we're not going to be able to go off, because we know that sin is our weakness. Isaiah chapter 46 verse 10, declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. Jeremiah chapter 50 verse 23, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? Who is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? So who's the hammer of the earth, man? Esau Edom, man, with his power and his might, he's able to smash out and overtopple many of these other nations, man. You see what they did to Venezuela. You see what they've done to all these other nations in the past, man. Well, right now they ran into a major stumbling block over there in the so-called in Iran, man. And like I said, all that is orchestrated by Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shah. And at least the flock is drawing them in, and that's the no small hatters over there. They drawing all these other nations in and turning that place into a hotspot. Jeremiah chapter 50 verse 24. I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon. O thou wast not aware, thou art found, and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord, Yahweh. So the Lord has set a trap for him, and that trap was over there in what's what they call that, that bend over there, the narrow, can't think of it now. The straits over there that's controlled by Iran, where the ships can't get in and out of there. And right now, everything is held up. It's like a clogged drain, man. Nothing's going through. So it's affecting the economy, man. And all these other nations are getting pissed. And the small hatters were going over there and stirring up that hornet's nest. And then they pissed at Babylon the Great for going over there and continuing, the assault. So right now, everybody's pissed at these two nations, man. And that's where it goes back to Revelation chapter 16. That whore that rides upon the beast, man. And all these other nations, her so-called allies are going to turn on Babylon the Great, that whore. And everybody's going to fire on Babylon the Great, man. Right now, they see that she's weak, she's wounded, she's been exposed. Her weaponry is, is not matching up with the today's war power, man. With the game has shifted. The military game has shifted to a point where it's more about modern day technology. The simple things, paper airplanes, like pretty much they're using paper airplanes with explosives on them to bring down these mega weapons that they have, man. It's almost like a David and Goliath type story. And I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon. Thou was not aware, thou art found, and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord. Obadiah chapter 1 verse 4. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. Because she was high and mighty just about a few months ago, when they went over there in Venezuela and just snatched them up within an hour. And they was feeling a sense of invincibility, and now she's starting to be humble, and all these other nations are looking like, okay, she's wounded now. Let's go in for the kill. We see their weakness. We see how we able to exploit, their power, man. And that comes from them being over confident, thinking that they can go in there and just do the same thing to the Iranians, man. Which is a whole different ball game, whole different set of rules. Those people been dug in for so long, man. They've been prepared for war in that nation, man. So they laid out a well thought out plan on how to counter attack the offensive that went against them. Jeremiah chapter 5, verse 22. Fear ye not me. That's what the Lord saying, saith the Lord. Will ye not tremble at my presence, which have placed the sand for a bound of the sea by perpetual decree, that it cannot pass it, or through the waves thereof toss themselves, yet they cannot prevail. Though they roar, yet can they not pass over it. Daniel chapter 5, verse 5. In the same hour came forth fingers of man's hand, and wrote over against the candlestick over the baluster of the wall in the king's palace. This goes back to Daniel. And the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. Verse 6, and then the king's countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loose, and his knees smote one against another. Like when you have that first kind of fear you about something, or it's kind of worrying you inside, and you get them the butterflies in your stomach, feel like you gotta go to the bathroom. That's what he felt, and that's what Esau Edom is feeling right now. Then was that part of the hand sent from him, and this was written, Daniel chapter 5, verse 25, and this was written, Mene, Tekel, Euphrasia. This is the interpretation of the thing, meaning Yahweh hath numbered thy kingdom, and finished it. Thou art weighed in the balance, and art found wanting. Thy kingdom is divided and given into the Medes and the Persians. And who are the Medes? That's Russia. And who are the Persians? That's some Iranians, man. And all these other nations going to join unto them to go after Babylon the Great. But that's pretty much it for this lesson, man. We're in the time, man. We're in a beautiful time to be in, to seeing these prophecies of the Lord being fulfilled, man. That we about to see that promise come through that he promised, the Israelites, you so-called Black, Hispanics, Native Americans. Unfortunately, 2/3 is going to pass on this side. They're going to have to be destroyed along with the heathen. But we pray, Lord will, that we are of the elect, man. That we are the elect that's going to be saved out of it. And like I say, even if we do lose our life on this side, man, we're only to gain the right back into the kingdom. And who loves their life, man, in this place, man? Especially if you're Israelite, if you can see what's going on, man. You don't love this place. You hate it here. You want this place to be done away with as soon as possible, even if you have to lose your life for it. And losing it for the Lord, man. You losing it for Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah. So Lord will, this lesson's edifying. We at the end. We almost home with that. Say shalom.